with regard to the Labor Secretary on Wednesday afternoon when he went out and defended the decisions he made in Florida, in Miami, Florida, going back to 2008 and 2009. He was trying to explain how the folks in Palm Beach were going to give Jeffrey Epstein a smaller sentence. And when Acosta took the case over, he pushed for a tougher sentence and believed, even though you're registered as a sex offender, you do 13 months in jail, even though you have the right to leave for 10 to 12 hours a day, which a lot of people felt was very lenient and very light.
You think? Yeah. I mean, there were children as young as 14 years old that were giving him massages for hundreds of dollars that he sexually molested. I would say that's a pretty lenient.
So the Labor Secretary will step down. Clearly, the pressure continues on him. I want to bring in Dr. Bill Bennett, standing by, former Education Secretary, Fox News contributor, host of Wise Guys on Fox Nation. Sir, don't mean to put this on you right now, but let's go ahead and continue the discussion. Acosta is out, clearly a distraction for the administration and for him. What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, though. Yes, I think it's the right decision. There's enough doubt, there's enough worry about the steps he took, or perhaps one should say more accurately, steps he didn't take. Did he do enough? As he himself said at his press conference, serves at the pleasure of the president. And when you become a burden to the president for justifiable reasons, that is, for reasons that make sense, then you should go. I think it's the right decision. I'm glad it's happening.
As we watch the reaction from the White House, Mick Mulvaney, Chief of Staff, he's been a big endorser of the Labor Secretary, says he's done a great job. And in that role, he perhaps has, and you can make the argument that he has been successful. He's been in that job for 2 years plus. Did you watch the press conference on Wednesday?
I did indeed.
And how do you think he handled it?
He handled it all right. It's been said it was lawyer-like, Bill. It was lawyer-like, but it left a lot of questions in the air, which is such as, why didn't you go for more? Given the seriousness that Julie was just referring to, the seriousness of the offenses of Epstein, why not go for more? I thought a little bit, too, he put the burden on his team rather than on himself, as if it were all just recommendations to him. But he can exercise some autonomy as well. Look, I don't know all the details. I wasn't there at the time. But it seemed to me there were enough issues and enough questions that this was the right decision.
There was a sense that he did not offer sympathy.
To see him go.
Yeah, just not to step over you, but the suggestion was that he did not offer enough sympathy to those who had been abused.
Well, yeah, that's the argument for failure to emote. But I'd do it more on the facts and the merits. Perhaps if he had emoted more, his fate would have been different. But I think this would have dogged him. I think this was a can tied to his tail, and it would have made a lot of noise going down the road. Don't hurt the president. I've served for 2 presidents, served at their pleasure. I sometimes gave them displeasure, when I was doing my jobs, and I always said, if this is wrong and if this is a burden, if I'm hurting your administration, then just let me know.
Yeah, the feeling was over the last 48 hours that there was not enough of a forceful defense of him through this process. Just want to get Julie in here to get a question.
Do you think there's going to be more fallout? Yep. Because this is not the only person who has been, basically enabling Epstein for so many years. I mean, this has been, as I referred to him earlier, as a millionaire pedophile. And I mean, no pedophile, registered offender at this stage with his crimes in the past would be free. He shouldn't be a free man, period, after the offenses he's been accused of and charged of. What other people do you believe down the road are going to be potentially taking a fall for enabling him the way he has been?
I don't know, but it's been written that, this is 4th of July. The fireworks are going to go everywhere. A lot of people are going to get singed, and some people may get burned. I noticed a contradiction already. I think Bill Clinton put out a statement saying he rode in the plane 4 times, and I think his former press secretary, Joe Lockhart, said more like 26 times. I'm very curious about, Julie, what I've heard that the president threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when he heard that he was manhandling or trying to manhandle some young waitresses, waitstaff. That would be a good thing to know. If the president did that, more credit to him. No, I think this is going to hit a lot of people. And, you know, this was a major Democrat donor, and it is interesting to me that not on this channel, but on the other channels, you would think that Epstein's only friend was Donald Trump, or only acquaintance was Donald Trump. They were acquaintances, you know, a long time ago, but this guy's ties with the Democratic Party are deep, donor to the Clinton Foundation and so on. It'd be good just to get fair and balanced coverage on this, as you guys are
A lot of the focus, much of the focus, and obviously the focus right now is on Acosta stepping down. But what was odd that we discussed yesterday and highlighted was the fact that we were speaking so much about Acosta and not so much about Epstein. When Epstein's the offender here, he's the one that actually went out and conducted this kind of behavior, this sickening behavior. So there was really no chance for Acosta to survive this. Don't you agree?
I thought it was doubtful. Again, I think he did a lawyer-like job, but it took more than a lawyer-like job at that press conference. It left too many questions on the table. And we're going to be hearing, if there was too much on Acosta, not enough about Epstein, I would say stay tuned. We're going to hear a ton about Epstein and his associates.
If you read deeply in the story, ever since, you know, the conviction in Palm Beach, he moved to New York, and he was working on a deal with politicians in this town, the DA Cyrus Vance, to get a reduction in his penalty from a felony to a misdemeanor. So he was working this over time. You mentioned what happened at Mar-a-Lago. James Patterson, the well-known author, was on our show the other day.
Yes.
He was with Dana Perino in the afternoon, and he was talking about that. And what he reported is that they went to the manager at Mar-a-Lago, said Epstein was out of order, you need to take care of this, and then that's when Donald Trump, then a private citizen, told him to leave, Doctor.
That's right. Well, Patterson is the best-selling author in the world. I wish I were, but he is, and so he's got some credibility, and you know, wrote a book about all this, which I imagine is going to start going off the shelves. But yeah, again, if the president did that, good for the president. But we're going to see these. We're going to see the singeing and burning of a lot of people. I expect most of them Democrats. We're going to see the manifest at some point of all the people who are on those planes, how many trips, and it's just horrible and ugly. It's just so ugly. And in this day of Me Too, that something like this could be covered up by friends or political allies. When you're talking about young girls, 13, 14, 15 years old. There'll be a price to pay here, and the public will want some serious vengeance on this.
Based on that answer, you believe we're in the early stages of this story?
Sure we are.
And who knows where it goes, is that right?
That's right. That's right. No, I think so. And plus the time in which we live, Bill and Julie. I mean, we live in this Me Too time, and, you know, you have people coming forward saying, you know, he touched me the wrong way, he looked the wrong way at me, he said something suggestive. That isn't what this is about. This is about manhandling and raping girls. So this is, you know, this is not it could go either way. This seems to me to be worse than Weinstein.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that a lot more accusers will come forward. And sadly, these accusers don't come forward until an arrest has been made. It's sort of strength in numbers, if you will. So since Epstein's arrest, there have been a dozen new accusers that have come forward. I believe that will definitely seal the deal here for the judge here in New York. He's not going to let this guy take this plea deal.